G'day guys, how you going? Hope you're all doing very well. This evening I'm going to be doing a review of a horror film from South Korea, Korean language English subs, releasing in 2009, directed by Chan-Wook Park, and this film is called Thirst. And the story to Thirst is as follows. Sang-hyun, a priest who believes that life is precious, volunteers for a secret vaccine development project to help save lives from a deadly virus. But during the experiment he is infected by the virus and dies. When some unidentified blood is transfused into him, he miraculously comes back to life, but the blood has turned him into a vampire. Sang-hyun is now conflicted between the carnal desire for blood and his faith, which forbids him to kill. But if he cannot survive without feasting on human blood, how can he get it without resorting to murder? So the movie centers on Sang-hyun. He was a priest who is a very devoted Christian, and he is very happy in what he's doing. But he has some sort of confliction in his life, and he wants to serve humanity a little bit better. So he decides to go to this top secret vaccine development program. Now, this program is not supposed to be shared with anyone else, and things can go bad. Now, this new virus has broken out, and they need a vaccine, and they need guinea pigs to basically test on. So Sang-hyun, he consults his priest, I don't know what you call it, boss, and his boss tells him that it's a great risk, but if he wants to do it, go ahead. He has to be made aware of the consequences. So he goes to the scientists that are running this program. The scientists tell him that, yes, they're going to inject him with this virus, and he may die as a result. So Sang-hyun, knowing the potential disasters that could occur, he goes into the program, he gets injected, and a few days later he dies. Now, this is not the end of Sang-hyun, though, because the blood that was transfused into him ends up turning him into a vampire, so he's now undead. So he has a new dilemma. Now, he is getting overwhelmed by his new urge to feast on human blood, but his faith prevents him from killing anyone. So he is still somewhat human in the fact that he knows the difference between right and wrong. But this urge from his new lifestyle is getting stronger and stronger, so he's really torn between the two. Then things are even further complicated when he becomes romantically involved with a young woman who has been abused by her husband and her husband's mother. So a lot of people come into the story, and there are a lot of twists and turns in this very twisted love story. So if you want to know how this movie unfolds and what's in store for each and every character, that's something you're going to have to find out for yourself, because that's as far as I'm going with my synopsis. Now, my thoughts on the film. If you're a fan of vampire films, you're a fan of love stories, vampire films, then you definitely have to check this one out. Now, this is everything that Twilight should have been, in my opinion. Twilight had some interesting concepts. Really good idea, but just executed poorly, because it was more a teenage sort of garbage film, in my opinion. Whereas this movie is very serious. It's everything, as I said, that Twilight should have been. It is a romance story, but it is also a genuine horror film as well. And I feel that Chan-Wook Park has developed a very fine blend of multiple genres. Now, there's dark humor, so it can come across as sort of a darkly humorous comedy. There are horrifying elements to it, so it is a genuine horror film, and as I said, the strong point of the film is the romance, and it's a very morbid romance, so at no stage will you feel happy that they're ever going to live happily ever after, because the lifestyle is getting in the way. Whereas in Twilight, you feel that they can live happily ever after, because all they do is sparkle in the sun. Whereas this film stays true to the vampire's legend. So if you're a fan of vampire and you're sick of what Twilight did to that sort of subgenre, then this one's definitely one for you, because they stick by the basic rules. And this love story is very, very awkward, because one, the young woman is very deranged, and number two, the priest has a new lifestyle that he doesn't like, and he is conflicted between the lifestyle that he is now being thrust into with his priesthood, and also the priesthood with this young woman. Now, obviously, he's taken a vow of celibacy, so he can't really do anything. So he's really, really torn up between all of these dilemmas that he is facing. So it's a very complex story, and Chan-Wook Park has allowed the characters to really shine, because it is a fairly long film. It goes for 129 minutes, but at no stage does Chan-Wook Park waste any of it. Chan-Wook Park is a master at drawing out characters and really feeling a strong connection with them. That was his main point in Sympathy for Mr. Vengeance. You really felt sympathy for the characters, because Chan-Wook Park takes the time and effort to really introduce them, and it's no different in this movie. Sang-hyun, who is the priest, played by Kang-ho, or something, I can't remember his name, but he was also off Sympathy for Mr. Vengeance. He is a great actor, and he was allowed to shine in this film as the priest because, one, the script was very well done, and as I said, Chan-Wook Park has obviously taken a lot of attention to detail in character development. So Kang-ho does a fantastic job at projecting someone who has good intentions, but the consequences are far out of his control. And it's basically just like watching someone fall to pieces. So, characters, very, very well done. The acting was brilliant. There are a few other actors from the supporting cast that did a great job. Each and every character, especially the younger woman, she was very deranged. And each and every one of them were very rich and colourful and stood apart from everybody else. So each character basically made their own shadow. So character development, the storyline worked perfectly. As I said, there is a very strong blend of dark humour to the film. I found myself laughing on quite a few occasions. There are some very disturbing moments, and there's actually some quite violent moments. And there are some loving, tender moments. I actually felt very sorry for the relationship they had, because it also doubled as, something that you get in reality, where you have a relationship that you know it's not going to really work and it's not going to have a great outcome, but you just savour the moment. And this is exactly what this pair do. So it's not so much a live happily ever after fairy tale romance, but this is a really strong romance about situations getting in the way of happiness. Now, cinematography, absolutely fantastic, and it's also very different from his other movies. This is a very colourful sort of movie that really does have strong visual, but in this regard, it is a very morbid approach. Now, yes, Sympathy for Mr. Vengeance was very morbid, but this one has a very surreal feel to it. It's almost like a fantasy feel, and that really helped contribute the horror element to it. So it shows that although Chan-Wook Park has a very distinctive style, he has a very creative style as well, because he can adapt to each and every genre that he's trying to make. There are some, changes in the cinematography, but for the most part, absolutely fantastic, and it really drew me in. Now, soundtrack, fantastic. As I said, Sympathy for Mr. Vengeance didn't have a soundtrack, which was something very different, but he goes back to the soundtrack in this film, and it once again, very melancholy sort of feel to it. So you kind of feel sad, but at the same time, the dark humour lightens you up, and it's just a very emotional sort of vampire love story. And as I said, if you're sick of Twilight and you want redemption as far as vampire romances are concerned, this is proof that, when it is actually respected, it can be very well done. So my only gripe with the film was the fact that in some parts it dragged a little bit, but it never really gets bogged down. So overall, I thought this was an absolutely fantastic horror film. I would highly recommend everyone to go out there and see it if you haven't done so already. I'm giving it 4.5 stars once again, just a little half off because, as I said, it drags for a tiny bit, so it prevents it from being a flawless film, but absolutely fantastic stuff. Chan-Wook Park has delivered another extremely memorable film, and if you're a fan of Asian cinema, then this one is an absolute must. So that is my review for the South Korean horror film Thirst. 4.5 stars, fantastic. Alright guys, that's my review. I hope you enjoyed it. Till next time, keep watching movies, and I'll see you later. Bye.